Okay, guys, lesson 3. Moving on to something new here, calculating standard deviation. We're still talking about data, which is units all on data, analyzing data. So first off, what is standard deviation? That might be a new term for you. Standard deviation is a measure of how spread out the data is. Okay, there'll be a question in your homework, just ask you to define it. It's just a measure of how spread out the data is. Okay, in other words, boom, 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 higher standard deviation means the data is more spread out. Okay, means data is more spread out. Spread out, like the numbers are far apart. Alrighty? Or we could say it's not as consistent. Oops. Consistent. Okay? Data is not as consistent. It has higher standard deviation. It's kind of like IQR. You know, IQR told you how spread out it was. Here's an example of how to calculate it. It's going to look a little complicated, but just try to follow the steps. It's pretty straightforward steps. Here's this list of data. Maybe this is points scored by a basketball player, something like that. Okay? Find the mean, first step. Okay, here's a symbol for mean. It's going to be a mu. It's like a U. Okay, I already kind of worked this out. Add them all up. 64. Divide by 8, so the mean comes out nice to just 8. Alright? Now we're going to make this table. You'll do this every time. Here, turn this light on. Oops. There we go. Okay, the same table every time. First column is X, which is your data. We'll just list it down. 2, 4. You probably want to put them in order if they're not in order. They don't actually have to be in order though. Just makes it a little easier. Okay, list them down like that. Next thing we're going to do is X minus mu. So I'm going to take this number, X, and I'm going to minus mu, which is 8. So I'm going to do 2 minus 8. Okay, negative 6. I'm going to do 4 minus 8. Negative 4. I'm going to do 6, this data point, minus 8. I'm just finding out how far it is from the mean. 6 minus 8. If they come up more than once, you still got to do it. 9 minus 8. Okay, now we're talking positive 1. 12 minus 8 is 4. And 15 minus 8 is 17. I'm sorry, 7. Okay? Just took the data point, minus off the mean. Next step, take that number, that data point minus the mean, I'm going to square it. So in other words, take negative 6 and square it. Remember, when you square a negative, you get a positive. Okay, I'm just going to work these out without showing because I think it's fairly self-explanatory. Just when you square a negative, it comes out positive. 1 squared is 1. 2 squared is 4. 16. 49. Okay, next you're going to add them all up. Okay, all the way down. Add this all up. I should have had that worked out already, but I don't. Here we go. 10, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 25, 34, carry the 3, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I got 94. Okay, last few steps here, you're going to take that 94, divide by the number of data points, and then square root. Okay? So I'm going to take 94 divided by how many data points there were. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then square root that. Okay? So just plug that into a calculator. Let me bring up a calculator here quick. Okay, 94 divided by 8 is like 11.75. Square root that. Square root 3.4 to the nearest, I'll just round that off to the nearest 10. Okay? A lot of steps, okay? A lot of steps, but it'll be the same every time. I'll do another example here if you want to see it. If you feel good, you probably can move up. You can probably be done with this video, but if you want one more example, I believe I have one more example here I want to show you. Actually, no, this is it. You're going to want to watch this. Okay, here's the other type of question you'll see. Got paint all over my hand. I was painting earlier. Didn't even notice that. Okay, here's the thing. If Jim has a standard deviation, I'll abbreviate it, of 5 points, and Larry has a standard deviation of 3 points, say they're both basketball players, what do we know? All right, this is what you know. Larry's, all we know, we don't really know who's a better player. We just know Larry's scores are less spread out. Okay, or you could say Jim's scores are more spread out. Okay, you could say it this way too. Larry is more consistent. Does that mean he scores more points every game? Not necessarily, right? He's just more consistent. He might be consistently scoring 5 points a game, you know, right in that area. It doesn't necessarily mean he's great, you know. It's just how consistent he is, all right? So you might want to ask the other question that'll show up in your homework, you know, why can't we say that, you know, one of these guys is better? We don't know who scores more. Who scores more on average in a game? All right. We don't know the mean. All right. That's the other. They didn't tell us that. All right. All we know is that Larry is more consistent because his standard deviation was lower. Okay. So for now, you just got to be able to calculate it. Just follow these steps out. And that's all that's on your assignment for today.